Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to dive into the hidden world of digital forensics. This is a world where the clues aren't found on a dusty floor with a magnifying glass. Nope. They're scattered across a global network of servers and inside the smart devices we carry in our pockets every single day.
And that's a huge question for modern justice, right? So we're going to explore how investigators find these clues, not by dusting for prints, but by navigating this incredible maze of data that lives in the cloud and inside the very devices we use all the time. All right, so first up, let's talk about the cloud. It's this massive digital landscape that honestly can feel as vast and confusing as a super dense fog. It's where so much of our digital life is stored. But actually getting evidence from it? Whoa, that's a huge challenge.
So what is it really?
Well, put simply, cloud computing just lets us store and get to our data over the internet instead of on our own local computer. A really good way to think of it is like you're renting digital real estate from what's called a cloud service provider, or CSP for short.
So to even begin an investigation, you've got to understand the lay of the land. The cloud is usually broken down into different service levels. You're looking at two of the most common ones here. SaaS, or software as a service, is what most of us use every day. Think about your webmail or those online document editors. Then you've got PaaS, platform as a service, which is more like renting a digital workshop. You get the operating system and you can build your own apps right on top of it.
Okay, and this is where things get really complicated for investigators. First, there's what they call the jurisdictional fog. I mean, if data is sitting on a server in another country, which country's laws even apply? Then there's commingled data, where a suspect's files could be on the exact same server as data from thousands of totally innocent users. And, to top it all off, the providers often won't even tell you where their data centers are for security reasons.
So, with all those hurdles, you can see why an investigation has to happen on two fronts at the same time. On one side, you're investigating the cloud service provider itself. You're dealing with their security teams, their infrastructure. And on the other side, you're investigating the customer, which means digging through their personal devices, their web browser history, anything for a trace of cloud activity.
Now, to get their hands on this evidence legally, the government has a very specific set of tools. As you can see, there are 5 main ways they can do it, and each one has different rules. A search warrant, for example, needs a really high standard of probable cause, and it's only for criminal cases. Subpoenas and court orders, they have different standards of proof. And get this, some even require giving the user a heads up, a move that could totally tip them off and lead to evidence being destroyed. It is a very delicate legal tightrope.
Okay, so you have investigators navigating all these legal minefields in the virtual world, right? But at the same time, a whole new universe of evidence is popping up from the physical devices all around us. And in an investigation, believe me, these devices can be made to testify.
And we're not just talking about your phone or your laptop here. The Internet of Anything, or IOA, is this huge, growing network that includes pretty much every object that can be connected to the Internet. We're talking everything from your coffee maker to city traffic lights.
And what's really fascinating is how they all connect. It's not some kind of futuristic, unknown technology. As you can see from the chart, the huge majority of them use the exact same Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and cellular networks our phones use every single day. This whole interconnected web, it's a reality right now.
So people usually break the IoT down into 5 big categories. Let's start with the one you and I know best. Consumer IoT. This is all the smart stuff in our homes, on our wrists, and in our driveways, from fitness trackers logging our every single step to our cars tracking our location.
Next up, you've got the commercial sector. This is the IOA working behind the scenes, managing everything from the climate control in your office building to patient monitors in hospitals, and even that scanner for your concert ticket. It's creating a digital record of our movements in public spaces.
Now let's scale things up a bit to the industrial world. Here, the IOA is basically the backbone of modern logistics. We're talking sensors tracking livestock, robots automating factory floors, and the whole complex global supply chain that brings goods to your door. Every single step creates a data point.
And it doesn't stop there. The IOA is also the engine running our critical infrastructure. I mean, think of smart cities using sensors to manage traffic flow, utility companies monitoring water usage, and even those public safety systems like the tsunami warning buoys out in our oceans. They are all silently collecting data on a massive scale.
And last but not least, we have the Internet of Military Things. This connects soldiers, vehicles, drones, and sensors into one massive network. Sometimes it's called the Internet of Battlefield Things, or IOBT, and in this world, data can literally be a matter of life and death.
So here's the big takeaway, the thing that ties all of this together. All of these devices, across every single one of those categories, are acting as silent, invisible witnesses. They're constantly collecting data, location, time, usage, even sound and video, and that data can become absolutely critical evidence.
Okay, so how on earth do investigators actually read the stories these invisible witnesses are telling? Well, it's all about knowing where to look for the digital breadcrumbs. Let's look at a pretty amazing example that you can find on just about every Windows computer.
On a Windows PC, one of the first places investigators look is at something called prefetch files. It's kind of funny. Their whole purpose is just to make your computer feel faster. Windows creates these little files that act like a logbook for every app you run, preloading info so the app starts up quicker next time.
And you guessed it, that little logbook is an absolute goldmine for an investigator. A single one of these files can show when an app was used, exactly how many times it was run, what other files it talked to, and the very last time it was accessed. This can create a super precise timeline of a user's activity, even showing traces of malware or programs that were run from a USB drive and then deleted. It's amazing stuff.
But of course, this is a constant cat-and-mouse game, right? Investigators are always up against what's called anti-forensics. That's the practice of actively trying to destroy or hide these digital breadcrumbs. This could mean wiping data, hiding malware inside perfectly legitimate files, or even changing timestamps just to throw investigators off the trail.
Okay, so let's pull back for a second. Where is all of this heading? What does this all mean for the future of crime and justice? You know, the real takeaway here is pretty clear. Every single new smart device and cloud service creates more data, and with it, more potential invisible witnesses. This makes digital forensics one of the most important and fastest-moving fields in modern justice, because the crime scene of the future is, without a doubt, digital.
And that leaves us with one last really big question to chew on. As pretty much everything around us starts to record our lives and gains the ability to testify, how do we make sure that digital evidence is accurate? How do we know it hasn't been tampered with? And how do we ensure it's used in a way that is truly fair and just? That's the challenge ahead of us.